all of your favorite recipes. Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food. Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
What's up, you guys? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be focusing on making some delicious yet extremely simple peanut butter cookies courtesy of the Preppy Kitchen, which I will make sure that I leave his link down in the description box below. So we're going to start off with a half a cup of unsalted room temperature butter. That'll just make it a lot easier to mix things up. And then we're adding in a half a cup of brown sugar as well as a half a cup of white sugar. Now, just so you know, as you can see, I'm doing this in a stand mixer, but you could absolutely do this in a regular bowl with a hand mixer, or you can honestly just get yourself a really good wooden spoon and just go to town and do all of this by hand. It could absolutely happen. These cookies are not complicated at all. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the next thing that we're about to add in, which is the peanut butter. Now, you're going to add in 1 cup of peanut butter of whatever kind you like. But for me personally, I like to use the Skippy's No Sugar Added brand, only because one, why have peanut butter that has added sugar in it? I would much rather the peanut butter just be its natural self. And especially when I'm already adding in a half a cup of white sugar and a half a cup of brown sugar, it just makes more sense to me, and you're not going to miss any of the sweetness value at all. Now, I will say, just to be on the safe side, whatever kind you do choose to use, just make sure it's on the creamy side and not the chunky peanut butter. I just feel like that'll cause problems for you guys, and ain't nobody got time for that. The next thing we're going to add in is 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You guys know that I love that Nelson Macy vanilla bean extract. You could also use the paste if you wanted to. And then we're going to add in 1 large room temperature egg. And now we're going to let these get nice and mixed up together until it's time to move on to the next step. So once you've made sure that you scrape down the sides of the bowl periodically to make sure that everything's nicely incorporated, we're now going to go ahead and add in 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and make sure it's some really good baking flour. You know what I mean? And then we're also going to add in 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder as well. And now we're going to go ahead and just give this a good mix. Now, I'm going to do this in real time because I want you guys to see how long I mix this. Any of my cookie recipes, I kind of follow this same rule, which is the second I see a majority of the white gone, I immediately turn off the mixer and I do the rest by hand. That is the best way to make sure that you're not going to end up with a tough cookie. So I turned my stand mixer off and then I did the rest by hand. And once I knew that all of that flour and that baking powder was completely mixed in, I decided to not do anything else with them whatsoever. I just left them alone, okay? Because you don't want to end up with really tough cookies. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you have your oven preheated at 350 degrees. Make sure that you keep an eye on the temperature of your oven. Make sure that your ovens aren't running too hot, because these cookies will kind of burn, especially if you're using a peanut butter, you know, that has a lot of oil in it. So as you can see, I'm using roughly about a teaspoon amount, because I want these to be, you know, cookies a little bit on the smaller to medium size. I don't really like really extremely large cookies. Now, if you want all of your cookies to be the exact same, of course, you could always weigh them out on a food scale, or you could also just use one of those cookie scoops or ice cream scoops, but I just think it's kind of pointless. As you guys can see, I'm rolling them around in my hand, and I'm not, you know, doing anything special to them at the moment. Once I have them all laid out on my baking sheet lined with parchment paper, I'm taking my 2 fingers and I'm slightly pressing them down. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so that when I go to do the fork press, they won't crack. Now, if you skip this step and just try to put the fork the fork marks in the top of the cookies, you might end up with some cracks. And this way, you can kind of flatten them down a bit. And then if you do see any cracks, you can kind of go in and fix them as you just saw me just do. And it just makes it a lot easier for you. And also the good thing about these cookies are they don't really spread that much, so you don't really have to worry about it. Now I'm going to show you the right way and the wrong way to do this. So as you can see, I put my fork in and I dragged it across. You don't want to do that, okay? If you do that, it's going to cause your cookies to crack, and you don't want that. So watch how I'm doing it here. I'm applying pressure to the tip of the fork and I'm rocking it back like a seesaw. Tip of the fork, rocking it back like a seesaw, and then you use your finger, pull it up. Every single time, that's how I'm going to do it. You just rock your fork back and forth like a seesaw, and as long as those cookies are still at room temperature, it should come off extremely easy without causing any type of cracks to the side of your cookies or, any of that type of stuff. But as you can see, by me doing that little seesaw motion of just rocking it back and lifting up, and doing it the opposite way, I'm not having as many cracks as you see that I had on that very first cookie. So that's just the way that I prefer to do it. Of course, you guys don't have to do it. And, also by doing it this way, now that we press those cookies down or put in the fork marks in it, these are probably roughly about the size of what these cookies will be. Maybe just a half of an inch, maybe bigger, but this will kind of pretty much be about it. So this will make about, 12 cookies here, which is, really, really good. I have a lot of dough left over, but I'm probably just going to freeze the rest of it, to be honest, because I don't need that many cookies. But once you get this all done, you're going to plop these bad boys in the oven at 350 degrees. Like I said, make sure that your oven is not running hot. And then you're going to cook these for roughly about 8 to 9 minutes. Once you pull them out of the oven, do not, and I repeat, do not touch them. If you attempt to take them off the tray too soon, they will completely fall apart. So allow them to rest for roughly, I would say, about 10 minutes. Once they cool down, they'll get nice and firm, and then that's when you can gently remove them from the baking tray, either onto a rack or just onto a cutting board. I tend to not really do the whole rack thing. I just put mine on a wooden cutting board and they do completely fine. These cookies are going to be nice and soft and chewy. They're not hard. And once I put them on the cutting board after they've cooled, I allow them to cool for like an additional 10 to 15 minutes or so, and then they're ready to serve. And that's it. Look, if you guys are new to my channel, welcome to Simply Food by TY. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen thus far. If you're one of my returning subscribers, I hope you babies enjoyed this, and I hope everybody comes on back for another episode, honey. And as always, y'all babies stay cute and take care. Bye, guys.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for